Go ahead and try it. That's wrong with
Energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? A very happy post-Halloween Wednesday. I can't believe we are in November 1st here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. We got a full show, all 90 minutes. We got a two-guest show today. We had to move some things around. So Tom Caron.of NESN is going to be with us at 5:45. Buster is going to be with us at about 6:25 today. So a lot of baseball talk today. We will talk about what some of you are already texting in about as well. That's Josh McDaniels getting fired by the Raiders. Maybe he could come back to the Patriots or not. So we'll talk about all of that as well. So again, TC though in about 15 minutes, Buster at about 6:25. Buster is live at the World Series, making time for us here before Game 5, where the Rangers are going for their first ever World Series championship. I am here. Danny is here. You are here in the text line, 802-585-3026. Danny, let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber, also Rouse's Point, New York. They are online at sticksandstuff.com. Tomorrow morning, I believe it's just before noon. We're going to get the details on this, I think, from TC in a couple of minutes. But tomorrow morning, the Red Sox are going to introduce Craig Breslow as their newest chief baseball officer, right? The press conference will be tomorrow. So on tomorrow's show, we'll have all kinds of sounds from Breslow, from Red Sox management, everything talking about it. So a lot of Red Sox sound bites tomorrow. As we look ahead to tomorrow, I ask you, from Craig Breslow, when he's introduced tomorrow, what do you want to hear? What do you want to hear from him? Right? 802-585-3026. As Craig Breslow gets announced, what do you want to hear from him? What can he say that will make you happy and excited as a Red Sox fan? For me, I want to hear the Red Sox are going to be aggressive, and I want to hear that they want and believe that they can build a winner very, very quickly, right? I have done the patience thing. I have done the long-term plan thing. I have done the rebuild the farm system thing. Now I want to do the winning thing, and I want to hear them talk about the winning thing, right? And that may sound obvious, but I want to hear it. I want to hear the Red Sox say, we are committed to being aggressive this offseason to give us a winner. Because you know what? We shouldn't let the Red Sox off the hook. The Arizona Diamondbacks lost 100 games 2 years ago, 110. The Texas Rangers lost 100 games 2 years ago. They are now both in the World Series. We have been conditioned to think that baseball rebuilds and mini rebuilds take a long time. The Rangers and Diamondbacks have shown us now it doesn't have to. So since it doesn't have to, what are the Red Sox and Breslow going to do to make them or make us do what they have done? That's what I want to hear, right? It's been shown now that it can be done. And since there's a blueprint out there, how are you going to follow it? How are you going to execute it? And how are you going to be giving us October and November, I can't believe that, November baseball as quickly as possible? That's what I want to hear. This is the Boston Red Sox, a team with resources, a team with money, a team now with a farm system that can go out and make some moves that don't nuke the entire thing. That's what I want to hear, right? I don't want to hear as much about long-term development. Of course, I still want that, right? I still want the farm. I still want systems in place, and I want the farm system to grow, and I want to build from within. I want to hear all that, but what I really want to hear is, yes, we're working for the future under the surface, but at the surface, at the major league level, we're trying to build a winner, right? When Chaim Bloom came in, it was about building underneath the hood, and what the outside of the car looked like didn't really matter. Well, now underneath the hood has been built largely. Now I want to hear about the car's paint job and the car's exterior. And are we getting tinted windows or not? And how hot are we making this car? And what's it going to look like? That's what I want to know now, right? Under the hood, we've done that. I've done that. I've been patient. I am as patient as they come when it's talked about farm system development and systems being put in place and about not rushing the process. I am at the leader of that clubhouse. But I've done that. And it's been 4 years of that. Now I want to win. I can't believe that it was 2018, 6 years ago almost, that the Red Sox were in the World Series and winning it. It feels like yesterday. It's not anymore. 2021, getting the ALCS. That's a long time now. And I don't mean to sound spoiled, but it's a long time. This Red Sox franchise needs to get back to prominence. They can't be finishing 21 games behind the Tampa Bay Rays. They can't be finishing 24 games or 23 games behind the Baltimore Orioles. What are you, Craig Breslow, going to do to build us a winner now? Yes, you're coming here with a guy known for pitching development. Bring in your systems. Develop your plans for velocity. Work with the minor leaguers. It's all important. It's all necessary. I believe in waves of sustainable talent. That's true. That's under the hood stuff. Now I want the aesthetic stuff. The car. What does it look like? How does it run? Make it work and make it look good in the process. I want this team playing again in the playoffs ASAP. There's no reason that they shouldn't be there relatively soon. They have the budget. They have some of the space to go out and spend. They have the young players that are there to supplement the core. They had the cachet. They had the history. They had the ballpark. Now go out and get it done. That's what I want to hear. The other thing I want to hear is I want to hear that Craig Breslow is going to be present, that he's going to build, cultivate, and create relationships. This is going to sound corny as hell, but I want to hear that Craig Breslow is here for the players. I want to hear that he plans on being around, that he's in the clubhouse, that he's on the field at batting practice, that he's talking to people, that he's checking in on people, that he's a good people person. One of my number one complaints about Chaim Bloom is that he apparently was, for as smart as he was constantly in his office, right? He was in his office. He wasn't present. He wasn't accessible. He was looking down at the organization on high always, and it didn't feel like there was a real personal connection there. I get it. There's a line, right? You can't cross the line. Craig Breslow, who hires and fires these people and pays these people and holds their livelihoods in his hand, he can't be their buddy. He can't be their best friend, but he can be a human being. He can be a relatable human being. I want to hear that, yes, I was a former player. I know how important it is to have a relationship with management, to be accessible there, or to have access to management, and how important that is. And I plan to give that to our players because I knew that was important for me. I want to hear him say, yes, I'm going to be down at the batting practice tunnel or at the batting practice cage there at the shell outside. I'm going to be talking to guys. I'm going to leave the coaching to the coaches. I'm going to leave the managing to Alex Cora, but I'm going to get to know guys. I'm going to get to know guys on our team. And if we can create this kind of family environment, then I think that's going to be a better place for us all to live and work in. Again, it sounds corny. Number one is more important than number two, but I want to hear them both. And then, you know what the real kicker is to all of it? I want to see him go out and execute it. I have told you this now for a couple of months. I have always been a sucker for coach speak and for press conference speak, right? I have bought into press conference sound bites of guys you never should have bought into. I was in love with Joe Judge when the Giants hired him. I was in love with Chaim Bloom when the Red Sox hired him. Smart people at a microphone tend to scratch me right where I itch. I am going to be better at holding people accountable now. It is not just tell. It is show. So Craig Breslow can say what I want to hear, but at the end of the day, it's all about execution. I am turning over a new leaf, right? I do not believe in New Year's resolutions, but if I did, I'm making my New Year's resolution for 2024 now. I am going to become a believer in show, not tell. So, yes, there's things I want to hear. There's buzzwords I will like. There's a tone of voice that I will appreciate. But ultimately, it is put up or shut up. And Craig Breslow and whoever he hires as his general manager, and Sam Kennedy and John Henry, if he ever shows up, these guys, and Tom Warner and Alex Cora, they need to put their words into action. And they need to get the Boston Red Sox back to being a winner, because there's no reason why they should be 23 games behind the Baltimore Orioles. There's no reason why they should be 21 games behind the Tampa Bay Rays. There's no reason why the Texas effing Rangers should be one win away from the World Series and the Red Sox haven't played a game in a month. How is that possible? That the Texas Rangers, who have never won anything, are about to win their first ever World Series, and the Red Sox haven't played a game in a month, and when the month prior that they were playing, their games were essentially meaningless. Answer me that. How is that possible? The Red Sox devolved into irrelevancy at the end of this season. I need to hear that Craig Breslow plans to bring them back, and plans to bring them back very, very quickly. Right? I've always been a sucker for coach speak. I've always been a sucker for guys at the microphone. I will not do that tomorrow. We will play the sound bites from Craig Breslow. I'm sure I will tell you I love what he had to say. Craig Breslow is a smart guy. Craig Breslow went to Yale. Craig Breslow has an astrophysicist degree or something like that. Things that I can't even say Craig Breslow knows the answers to. I will be impressed by what he says tomorrow. I can already tell you that in advance. We'll play the clips. I'll ultimately tell you what I liked. But then from tomorrow forward, it will become a plan of action. My basketball coach in high school used to tell me this all the time, and I'm now just getting it. It is not a written test. It is a performance task. So Craig Breslow will ace the test. He will ace the microphone. He will win the podium. He will win the press conference. Can you go out and ace the performance task as well? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to see. And that's what I will hold him and the Red Sox ownership group accountable for. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. On that note, we're going to go out to Tom Caron.of NESN here on the other side of the commercial break. TC, our Red Sox and Bruins insider, with us next. Talking Breslow and more next on the Brady Farkas Show.
Free, 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 free. Coffee, 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 coffee. Fridays, 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 Fridays. Not an echo. An amazing offer. Get a free delicious bean to cup coffee at participating Jiffy Mart
Danny,
and
what's
Kmart
the
stores
starting
every
point
Friday
here?
in November
Just how are
and
you?
December if you're an All-Town Neighborhood Perks member. Not a member? Sign up in stores or download the All-Town Neighborhood Perks app. Okay, that's an echo.
Only at participating locations while supplies last.
It's getting cold. Looking for indoor fun? Head to Twin City Family Fun Center for bowling and arcade fun. They have a brand new touchscreen bowling system.
How you doing,
Updated
Brady?
arcade and more
I am
games
doing
coming
well.
throughout the winter. Enjoy great drinks while watching the game. Zachary's Pizza for food and space for all your friends. TwinCityFamilyFunCenter.com.
What I was told was bone on bone. I was going to have knee replacement, and I do not like surgery.
Desperate to avoid surgery, Julie decided to check out QC Kinetics non-surgical regenerative treatments.
My daughter actually works in a Chapel Hill, North Carolina lab, and I sent her all of the information that I was given. And she's like, "Oh, Mom, this is for you. I've heard great things about this." She's like, "You need to try it before ever doing surgery."
Julie started the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments right in the office, using her own healing properties to help restore her damaged tissue.
I know, my daughter was right. Yeah, it's nice when you've got that person you can go to who might have a little bit more information, especially on the science of it. QC Kinetics, it's life-changing.
Find out if you're a good candidate. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS. QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS. Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Game 5 of Major League Baseball's World Series is tonight on WDEV. After a victory last night, the American League champion Texas Rangers are one win away from the championship, leading the Arizona Diamondbacks 3-1. First pitch from Chase Field in Phoenix is tonight at 8:03. Pregame starts at 7 o'clock. Arizona and Texas World Series Game 5 tonight, right here on WDEV FM and AM, WDEVradio.com. Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. I'm going to continue our conversation about the Boston Red Sox with Tom Caron, our Red Sox insider over at NESN. We're going to do so in a minute here with a heavy heart, though. Tom Caron is a Lewiston, Maine native, and we all know now about the tragic mass shooting that happened in Lewiston last week. So TC, I know, will be joining us here in a second with a heavy heart, and Danny informs me we do have TC on the phone line now. So without further ado, let's go out to our Red Sox and Bruins insider over at NESN, Tom Caron. TC, thank you for being with us. How are you?
Doing well. How you doing, Brady?
I am doing well as well. I appreciate you being with us. I did want to start on a somber note. Our condolences are certainly with you. You are a Lewiston, Maine. That is your hometown. And what happened this week was unspeakable. I know it's been a tough week for you, and you've been in Lewiston a lot. I read your comments in the Boston Globe. So we just want to let you know that we're thinking of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, my wife and I are both born and raised from Lewiston, in Lewiston, and Lewiston High School graduates. My father was born and raised in Lewiston. Was involved in city government there. And we have a lot of friends and family affected directly, indirectly by that. We'll be back up there this weekend. We were part of the vigil the other night. It's the world moves on, I keep saying, right? The CNN moves on to the next crisis in the world. And then the community is left to sort of get up on its feet and try to move forward. So we'll help with that as best I can. It was we saw it 10 years ago with the Boston Marathon bombing.
Right.
You do see the best in humanity in the wake of seeing pure evil. And that's, I've hundreds of people have reached out to me just because they knew, Alex Cora was one of the first people I heard from because he knew I was from there. And it's just, you do the support means a lot, and Lewiston's getting a lot of support. So that's good.
You were promoting Lewiston Strong T-shirts on your social media platforms. I did buy one. It should be here any day now. Is there anything else we can do that you want to mention?
Well, I mean, that's a great place to start. And that, that's Rogueware. They do athletic bags for, they do like the Duke lacrosse bags and equipment. They do, national sports equipment and bags and shirts and stuff. And so the owner is actually somebody I graduated from high school with, who was a real good high school football player when I was playing soccer. And he put together, they just announced today, they're over $125,000 raised. That's net. That's after the cost of shipping and everything that they're eating up. His goal from the start was to outraise the Bruins, who donated $100,000 day one, and he has done it. So Rogue Life, ROGUE Life, is where you can get those shirts. There's also I helped get up and running very quickly so that we could get the donations, because I think the worry, and we saw this after the Boston Marathon, incredibly, there are scam artists who jump into a situation like this and create funds to steal your money. So just be really careful. I tweeted out last night, there's kind of a one Lewiston site now that has multiple funds, some directly to individual families, some for the bigger community, some for all the families. Go there, look at it. If you got a .gov website, there's a better chance that that's legit. Just be careful if you give money, but there's a number of places you can give money. I just tweeted it out this morning. The Lewiston, Edward Little, Auburn is the next town over. Lewiston, Auburn are the twin cities in central Maine, and they're the Battle of the Bridge, their high school football game, was supposed to be last Friday. Obviously, that didn't happen. So they're playing it tonight. And Will Ferrell just tweeted out a hype message for the game. So it really does show you how the world, Billy Strings, the great musician, donated all the proceeds from his Halloween show last night to the Lewis and Auburn Response Fund, which is the fund we got set up quickly last week. So a lot of people really stepping in and, listen, Northern New England, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, we're all kind of intertwined. So if you know somebody in central Maine, give them a call and just let them know you're thinking about them. That's probably the easiest way to help.
Well, there's no easy way to transition. Our thoughts are with you. We'll do it gracefully here. I got to say, I didn't know until the Boston Globe story last week that you were in the Lewiston High School record book, soccer goalkeeper. I knew you were good. I didn't know you were that good.
Well, it was it was the LHS record. It wasn't a state record, but I did have the lowest goals against average until just a couple of years ago, which is just, long overdue. And listen, I joke that I was a goalkeeper before you had to be 6'5" to be a goalkeeper. Although I got to college at St. Mike's, and by the end of my freshman year, realized you had to be 6'5" to be a college goalie. So that was the end of my goalkeeping career. But yeah, we got to the semifinals. It was actually the district final my senior year, and we never quite won it, though. I'm almost over it 30-something years later. Yep. I've almost come to terms with it. But they won it all in 2015. They've won a couple since. And I'm going back up. They had, again, a little different. We talk about all this. But there's the high school soccer team had just finished a playoff game last Wednesday, winning it in overtime, at like 5 minutes to 7. And the events went down at 7:00, and there were, hundreds and hundreds of people gathered at that soccer game. So, you just thank God that he didn't go there. Thank God it didn't keep going, because maybe he would have seen it. Thank God they won it and everybody went on their way home. So they will now play in the semifinal game on Friday, and my wife and I are going to go up there and be part of the pregame ceremony. So, listen, we saw it in Boston. I keep going back to Boston because it had a very eerie feeling, very similar, the manhunt, shelter in place, everything we went through in Boston in 2013, we were going through in Maine, and we were up in Maine when it all happened. So, the little things you can start to do, the football game tonight, the soccer game on Friday, those when the Red Sox started playing again, those are all important steps for a community, I think, to sort of get back. I think sports really helps in that way. And so hopefully that'll help here.
Big sporting event in New England coming up this week. That is Craig Breslow getting introduced as a general manager of the Red Sox. What are the logistics? Is that tomorrow, the press conference?
Tomorrow, yeah, 11 a.m. We'll be carrying it live at Fenway. It's the official unveiling. No word on if he's got a general manager. I'm hearing he doesn't yet, that he'll take his time and sort of sort that out. But yeah, this is it now. Craig Breslow officially becomes I guess they're keeping the title, Chief Baseball Officer as of tomorrow.
What do you want to hear?
I want to hear that he's got a plan, like he did with the Cubs, to fix the entire pitching mechanism of the Boston Red Sox, right? When he went into Chicago, and if you read up on what he did, Alex Spear in the Globe did a really nice piece today, just about, one of the first things he did was really kind of overhaul what they looked for in drafting pitchers, how they used, a lot of the data points to increase velocity, working on velocity and stuff rather than throwing strikes. And that's, you always think it starts with throwing strikes, and it used to. But we know now that greater velocity, greater movement, greater break on pitches is actually more effective than throwing strikes. You can try to harness that and throw strikes later, but first, throw harder, man. And the Red Sox have needed to throw harder for a while. Their pitching's a mess, and there's not a lot coming up through the minor league system. So I want to hear he's got a plan in place to overhaul that. And then I want to hear that he's going to spend some money to go get pitching now, because it's one thing to say we're going to start doing this, and we'll see the results in 3 years. It's another thing to say we've identified, 3 free agent pitchers who fit that mold, and we're going to go get them now. That's what I want to see.
I also want to hear from ownership that they're going to let him have the requisite time needed to get these plans to work, because you're right about developing pitching. So what? They're going to draft some kid from Clemson at, number 10 overall this year, and they're going to get his velocity up over the next 3 years, and in 5 years he'll be good enough to be at the major league squad. And by then, Craig Breslow could be fired like all the other past chief baseball officers. So I want to hear that he's going to get time to do all this.
Yeah, I can't imagine you'll hear that, though. I mean,
I know.
I know. He's got 4 years. We know that. If he does a great job, he'll get a fifth. So let's see. Listen, he is coming in with one of the better farm systems in baseball, right? And that doesn't mean you have to wait for all of them to make it to the majors, right? We talked about this time and again. What it does mean is, you can use some of that minor league capital to trade for major league help now. And I think they're at the point where they need to do a little bit of that. I've been saying it for weeks and weeks, even before the World Series. Texas is the example. Spend the money, take the risks, get the pitching, and then see where you go.
I'll get you out of here on this. I was reading MLB trade rumors the other day, and they identified the Mariners and some other teams as a fit for Alex Verdugo in the trade market. And I totally agree the Mariners could use a guy like Verdugo. I'm just curious, what do you think the appropriate return is for Verdugo, a guy who's got 1 year left on his contract? Are we looking for a major league pitcher who also has 1 year left on a deal, like a Marco Gonzalez with the Mariners? Are you looking for a minor leaguer, or are you asking for much more than that?
No, I think you nailed it. I think you get the equivalent of what he is as a pitcher, right? A major league established pitcher who's maybe been really good, but has glimpses of being better than that. And has a year or so left on his contract. I think that is if you can't do that, then you do get a couple of minor league guys who are knocking on the door. And again, maybe that's because you're building up the minor league, cupboard to go trade for somebody else. You need pitching. I mean, in the end, when the dust settles, you need to have moved Verdugo to get pitching. That might be a two-step process, though, where you get minor leaguers who become part of the deal to get a pitcher.
TC, Tom Caron, our Red Sox and Bruins insider at NESN. Bruins, by the way, are still unbeaten in regulation, at least 8-0-1.
We all saw that coming. We all saw that coming. I mean, there's no, maybe people are going to have to admit that Jim Montgomery's a good coach. And that's, we don't like to admit coaches are good here in Boston. We like to think we could do better than that coach. Everybody, that's the toughest thing about Boston. Tim Franco said that to me once. The toughest thing about Boston is everybody thinks they could do a better job managing the Red Sox than the manager of the Red Sox. There aren't many markets like that. So rarely do you call out the player when something goes wrong. It's always the coach who screwed it up. Because, that's why, we're sitting here yelling about Belichick, and there's plenty to yell about. But Jim Montgomery's, he seems to be a hell of a coach. Can we just enjoy that a little bit?
Who loses first, Celtics or Bruins?
I'll say I'd have to look at the schedule. I don't know. I'll say Bruins, just because they've gone longer, and you feel like it's a stupid thing to say, but I mean they're due, right? They've been going longer than the Celtics, and I think the Celtics right now. I mean the way they're no longer just two guys that you can lean on Brown tonight, but maybe not need him tomorrow night because somebody else can step up. And, they'll have the Holiday game and the Porzingis game, and that's fun. I mean, this is a legit core that can lead a team to a championship.
They will have a chance to lose tonight. They're taking on Indiana. Bruins won't have a chance to lose until tomorrow when they take on Toronto. So
so you're already calling it a loss tonight.
No, I'm just saying they will have a chance to have done it first. That's all I'm saying. TC, our thoughts are with you, man. We appreciate you making time for us as always. Enjoy your trip to Maine this weekend and the best you can, and we'll catch up in 7 days.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Brady.
Absolutely. There goes Tom Caron, our Red Sox and Bruins insider over at NESN. And what is truly what I can only imagine has been an incredibly difficult week. I have no words to even describe what I can imagine TC has gone through over the course of the last 7 days or so. It was devastating for Lewiston, devastating for Maine, devastating for New England, devastating for the country. And TC has been at the center of the healing, going back to Lewiston, and we applaud him for doing that. And, never forgetting where he comes from and where he loves. And again, he'll be back there this weekend, and I'm sure many more times in the next coming months. But appreciate him talking a little baseball with us, a little hockey as well. There were some things TC said to us baseball-wise that stood out. I want to wrap up our TC conversation on the other side of the CBS News update. Remember, Buster's coming up at about 6:25 live from the World Series. But also, Josh McDaniels back to being a free agent. Do we want him back in Foxborough? We'll discuss that. Take your text. There's already a bunch of them next on DEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush at 96.1 FM,
10,000 rebounds in their career.
96.5 in Montpelier, 98.3. Along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury, Montpelier. Streaming at WDEVradio.com.
I have
92 years of serving Vermont. The friendly pioneer.
Well, I put Shaq. I don't care about percentages on the NBA ones. I just try to win. Baseball, I care about percentages.
CBS News on the hour, presented by Indeed.
I need a 10,000 rebounding Blazer.
Some Americans are finally getting out of Gaza. CBS's Linda Kenyon has response from the White House.
Safe passage for wounded Palestinians
and foreign
nationals texted Gaza.
Like, I'm trying to think, like, 10,000 rebounds. Like, you have to be a big to have gotten 10,000 rebounds.
Holders and the injured.
You just have to have played a long time. Like, would Rasheed Wallace have 10,000 rebounds?
Partners in the region, and particularly Qatar, who's worked so closely with us to support negotiations to facilitate the departure of these citizens.
Meantime, the bloodshed continues. CBS's Tina Kraus.
In Jerusalem, mourners gathered for the funeral of one of at least 16 soldiers Israel says have been killed since the start of the ground invasion.
10,000.
While in Tel Aviv, sirens warned of incoming rockets, sending Israelis running to shelters.
Airstrikes have also killed Hamas militants in Gaza. The Federal Reserve decided not to raise interest rates today.
Here's very good guess. That wasn't right.
If you are a saver,
he was hurt a lot.
You are so happy because you are now seeing short-term savings rates in high-yield accounts.
I'm going to say Rasheed, but I don't think that's right.
Short-term certificates of deposit.
There are only 4 of them.
5%.
That's the highest in decades.
SIBO?
Donald Trump Jr. took the stand today at his father's fraud trial
this gives
in
me,
New York.
Of course, every 10,000 rebound person.
He said his father was
for.
not involved with decision-making during his presidency, but said that he has made some decisions since he left the White House. He also told the court he was aware that the company's former chief financial officer, Alan Weisselberg, left the company after nearly half a century.
There is nobody who I can sit here and say definitely played for the Blazers. Oh, Zach Randolph did.
Knew little else about his
wow.
exit. In Oregon,
he's 44th on the all-time list out of 46.
Are on strike now for the first time. Venus Keller teaches first grade.
We're asking for help for our students. We're asking for more mental health supports, smaller class sizes, safe and clean classrooms free of mold and rodents and under.
I have to use Kevin Herter, though, 2% Hawks first round pick.
Hundreds of actors also picketed today outside Disney Studios in Burbank as their contract talks continued. Chief SAG negotiator Duncan Crabtree Ireland.
Everyone knows there's a lot at stake in this negotiation. The industry has to change so that creative talent is respected and treated fairly. That's what we're fighting for.
The Texas Rangers could win the World Series tonight.
Now Seager to right center field, way back.
Sound courtesy of Fox. Texas beat the Arizona Diamondbacks 11-7
like me,
last night
or
in Game
not
4.
Talk about anything else?
Game 5 starts in about 2 hours. This is CBS News.
You don't need a job platform. You need a hiring partner. Indeed lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credits.
Team, it's snowing again tomorrow. They're predicting 2 to 3 feet.
'Tis the overtime season for Frank Snowplows.
Kelly, can you take another shift?
Let it snow. Quality driver applicants.
Hey guys, know anybody else with a D
I don't think
license?
so.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well, no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Just because you're away from your radio or out of our broadcast range doesn't mean you have to miss out. Listen live on the WDEV stream, brought to you by AARP Vermont. WDEV's morning, midday, and afternoon news services, Vermont Viewpoint, and the Brady Farkas Show can all be found on the WDEV stream at WDEVradio.com. Brought to you by AARP Vermont, helping Vermonters protect themselves from identity theft and fraud. More information at aarp.org/fraudwatch network.
Hey, it's Charlie Papillo. Join me on the next Travels with Charlie. We'll talk with Ed Baker, host and producer of the Addiction Recovery Channel, plus Bill Calfee on the new local online shopping platform, myT.com. And Todd Sears, Deputy Director of Operations at the Agency of Transportation, on keeping tractor trailers off the Notch Road. Travels with Charlie is brought to you by Casella Waste Systems, Jolly Convenience Stores, Milne Travel, and Myers Wood-Fired Bagels. I'll see you on my travels Monday at 1 right here on WDEV.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We have a full show tonight. We're up until 7 o'clock. We will get you World Series action at that time. 7 o'clock with the pregame show. 8:03 with the first pitch. Game 5 between the Rangers and the Diamondbacks. Rangers looking to close out the World Series, get their first ever World Series title. I did something, Danny, I never do yesterday. I turned off a World Series game. It was 10-0 in the third inning. I turned it off, went to Halloween movies, find out later that it ended 11-7. I almost missed one of the greatest comebacks in baseball history, probably the greatest comeback in World Series history. I almost missed it. This is why you don't turn off games.
I also turned it off.
I'm shocked you're even watching it, period. I figured there was some low-level NBA game for you to watch.
I think I started there, and then I went back, saw it was a blowout, and, turned it off.
I figured, Orlando was playing Memphis or something, and you had to watch every second of it.
What was the late? There was a good late game, actually. Well, it wasn't that good. It was the Spurs. I didn't watch the whole thing. Spurs and Suns on TNT.
And that was the one where the Spurs came back and won. They were down back, 15 or 20 or something. Came back and won. Wemby had to put back with 1 second left.
It was a late steal in the game and put back layup.
Durant with a bad turnover. Why do you love watching the NBA so much, Danny? And I'm not knocking it. I always feel like younger people always gravitate towards college basketball. And then as you get older, you start to like the NBA. I've always thought that younger people will tend to gravitate towards college basketball.
That's interesting because I thought the NBA had a young demo for the most part.
Yeah, you're right. I will say the highlight, I guess maybe it's a generational thing. And I think about, you and me only being 7-8 years apart. We're not that different in age, but it does feel like there's a gap there.
We were watching completely different NBA games growing up, though.
Yes, the highlight culture of the NBA certainly has been more prevalent as you've gotten younger, right? So, or as you've come up through it. So, social media, clips, highlights, all that, I think it's taken more of a prevalence with you. So I do think the NBA has younger fans. See, I always liked watching college basketball better, always. And I always said, college basketball, they really care and it means more. And there's pageantry and there's tradition. And the NBA, it's all about the money and they don't play defense. I had all these reasons to not like the NBA from ages, 18 through 24 or whatever. I really started getting into the NBA again about 6 years ago. And look, it coincides with me moving to Vermont. Now that was 7 years ago, but I had to force myself back into the NBA because we were going to cover the Celtics at the station that I was at. But I really started to enjoy the NBA again around that same time, right? And look, there are things I don't love. The last 5 minutes of an NBA game take 2 hours. Like the last 5 minutes are as long as the previous 43 minutes of gameplay. It's ridiculous. Flopping and the video reviews and all the stuff that takes too much time. And, I don't love all the threes that are taken and everything's a three or a dunk. And there are things I don't love, but I have loved the NBA a lot more in the last 5 or 6 years. And I enjoy the NBA more than college basketball. Like I love watching UVM, but you can't catch me watching too many other college games throughout the course of a year. I'll always make time for Duke, Carolina, but me watching Kansas State against Iowa State on a Tuesday is just not going to happen. I would much rather sit and watch an NBA game than watch that. So I kind of thought as I got old, and what I think it is too, Danny, is like I was a high school basketball player, and I knew guys that played in college, or I had played against guys that played in college or went to Division I, and I knew names. This guy had been in a tournament. This guy was from a rival. There were names to follow. When I was college aged, I liked college basketball, right? Because I was thinking, okay, I played against that guy or that guy I knew, or that guy played against my brother or whatever. And then as I got removed from college age, well, then I stopped and I started to appreciate the NBA more. So I always thought younger people liked college basketball, maybe for the same reason, the pageantry, the tradition, just they're closer to your age, but now I think you're right. I think there is a young NBA fan base. And that's why the NBA has become, rapidly the second most popular professional league over baseball.
I like college as well. At the higher level, though, I mean, some of the lower level college teams are pretty sloppy basketball, so those are not the best games to watch.
UVM, though.
UVM is fun to watch.
Gotta watch UVM.
Always.
We got UVM tonight against St. Michael's. We'll kind of get you a little preview of that on our way out the door. That's a 7:00 exhibition game over at Patrick. Wish that we could be there. We are here. It's very hard for Danny and I to make midweek games at UVM because of the 7:00 start. We will be able to get to some weekend games. We'll have plenty of chances to watch UVM on television and talk about it with you. And we'll have our interviews with AD, with Emma Hutterbeck. But it's very hard for us to get over there. I will be listening to the game, though, on the way home. That's for sure. I want to hear Brian McLaughlin on the call at Catamount Hoops tonight. So that's at 7:00, about 50 minutes from now, over at Patrick. So Buster Olney is going to join us in about 15 minutes. We're going to talk about the Josh McDaniels stuff here momentarily. I just want to recap a little bit of what Tom Caron had to say. A couple of things stuck out to me in our interview with TC. I asked him, hey, what do you want to hear from Craig Breslow? And he mentioned, I want to hear Breslow talk about the pitching plan and the development plan. And he talked about specifically, this is kind of baseball nerd stuff, so I won't talk about it too long. But he said, I want the Red Sox to throw harder, and Breslow has plans in place to help increase velocity. The Cubs are one of the best velocity teams in baseball this year under Breslow's pitching plans and development. He says, I want to hear him talk about developing philosophy or velocity, and I don't really care as much about throwing strikes. Huh? What? I get what TC means, and I understand now that baseball has turned into, okay, just what do your raw stuff look like? But you also have to know how to pitch. I still want people that throw strikes, right? And so you go and read up on the Cubs, and I read all the stuff about how great velocity is, but they still walked a ton. I think they had the highest walk rate in the entire minor leagues. They are so focused on velocity, they don't care as much about throwing strikes, right? And look, I was told this at an early age, right? You can walk people or you can give up hits. You can't give up both. So what the Cubs are saying is, we're going to throw so hard and have so much movement that we may walk you, but you're not going to string together 4 singles on us, right? Like, we're not going to give up hits. So maybe it will work, but I cannot wrap my head around a baseball world where a pitcher does not care about throwing strikes. And Danny, we're seeing this, I think, in the NBA. We see this in the NFL. Teams are looking for athletes. They're looking for athletes. They're looking for athletes that are great in drills. They're looking for athletes that are great in showcases. They're looking for athletes that have great bodies. You also need to find guys that know how to play the game. I'll never forget this, right? I would go to baseball tournaments, and I would go to college showcases, and I'd have practice in the off season, and you'd see guys who were great in the batting cage. Unbelievable, right? The ball would jump off their bat in the batting cage. And in the batting cage, they would be peppering line drive after line drive. And you'd look around and go, whoa, look at what he's doing. I mean, you hear the way the ball's coming off his bat? And then we get to practice in the spring, right? This was in December. We get to practice in the spring. And now a pitcher's on the mound is like, oh, Joe can't hit a curveball. Oh, Joe can't move a runner over from second to third by hitting a ground ball to the right side. Oh, Joe can't turn on the inside fastball. All Joe can do is hit in the cage.
Is Joe Giancarlo Stanton?
Yeah, well, kind of something like that. And I think about it like in the NBA, right? I'm sure we see this, Danny. Oh, so-and-so can run really fast, and so-and-so can jump really high. And, hey, so-and-so's really tall. But, oh, so-and-so can't shoot, and so-and-so can't stay out of foul trouble, and so-and-so doesn't know how to play defense. You have to have an ability to play the game. So, yeah, I want every Red Sox pitcher to throw 100 also. But what I don't want is every Red Sox pitcher to throw 100 and only have the starters be able to go 3 1/3 and then have to use 4 relievers that also can't throw strikes. That's what I don't want. So, yes, Breslow can talk about his systems, and I want them implemented. But let's not forget that the foundation of baseball is still throwing strikes. You have to put the ball over the plate. You have to put the ball over the plate. Our guy, somebody just texted in and is talking. Kevin Ellis, by the way, if you were listening to yesterday's show, I gave Kevin Ellis grief yesterday from Vermont Viewpoint about, inviting me on his show and then not calling me like he was supposed to. Well, evidently, Danny, did you tell Kevin about that? Because he reached out to me today and is trying to reschedule.
Oh, I gave him crap about it.
Oh, today. You did?
I did. Yep.
What'd you say to him? Oh, because I got to hear this.
Oh, I said Brady's trying to reach out to you. We called him out yesterday on air. I told him. And
was he mad at us?
No.
Did he take ownership for his screw up?
Sort of. He sort of just laughed that he had been called out on air, but then he said he would correct it.
Okay.
Did he correct it? Sort of.
He reached out. He didn't apologize. He reached out, though, and said he wants me to come on next week. Text says Kevin's son was a 1,000-point scorer at Sharon. Okay. Well, we'll have to talk with him about that. I don't know. This is his show. He's going to ask me the questions. I don't have to ask him the questions. It says, when you talk with Kevin on his show, ask him about coaching the Sharon varsity boys basketball team. No. That's not how this works. And I'm a guest on his show. He asked me questions, right? I don't have to prepare the interview. So I'm nice to know I have that in my back pocket. I could go to it, but this is his show. So he can just ask me questions. He can ask me about coaching the 2013 Clifton Park Gators 16 and under team to the Upper New York State Mickey Mantle State Championship, getting to the semifinal round of the regional tournament where we lost to the Brooklyn Youth Service, which is the same program that Manny Ramirez played in growing up. Wow. I mean, go ahead and ask me about that question if you want. Ask me about coaching at Hudson Valley Community College for a couple of years and developing a couple guys who went Division I. Those are things I like to talk about if you want to talk about coaching. 802-585-3026. Buster's going to be with us here in about 10 minutes as well. We're going to ask him more about the Red Sox and Breslow. I do want to get to the NFL story of the day, and a lot of you are asking us about this as well, so let's get to it now. The Raiders have fired Josh McDaniels as their head coach, and I am surprised, right? I don't like this trend in professional sports of firing coaches before we even finish 2 years, right? It does take time to draft players, develop players, and build systems. It does. And I talk about the Red Sox being able to be a quick fix. Well, they've done all the under the hood work, right? They've done that. The Raiders are doing the under the hood work. So, not giving Josh McDaniels 2 full seasons doesn't really sit with me. I don't know that Josh McDaniels is a great head coach. I don't. But not getting 2 full years is something that doesn't sit well with me. So I am surprised that he didn't last 2 full seasons. But nonetheless, he's been fired, and he's now a free agent. He's free to go and do whatever. The question is do the Patriots want him back? And do you want him back with the New England Patriots? And I think this is actually a very complicated answer. My gut reaction is that I do not want Josh McDaniels back in New England. Right? That is my very first gut reaction. And the reason why is because I want a diversity of thought in the building. I have talked about this. I have championed for this. I have desired this. I don't know that as long as Bill Belichick is there that we're ever going to get it. But I know that if Josh McDaniels is there, we're not going to get it. One of the problems with Bill Belichick, and there are several when it comes to the GM side of things, but one of the problems with Bill the coach is that Bill has a very limited circle of trust. He trusts Bill O'Brien. He trusts Josh McDaniels. He trusts Matt Patricia. He trusts Joe Judge. He trusts his guys. And when his guys are there, it's always done Bill's way. It's always done the Patriots way. It's always done the way that we've always done it. That way is no longer working, right? That way is no longer working. So if Josh McDaniels comes back to New England, That's what this is. It's a picture perfect representation of Bill's guys doing it Bill's way all the time. And I think the Patriots need something else. I think the Patriots need something fresh. Now, I'm not saying at this moment that they need to fire Bill Belichick. I have said that I would trade Bill Belichick in the offseason, but I'm not calling for him necessarily to be fired. So if Belichick is here, I think we are largely stuck with the Belichick disciples doing it the Belichick way. But I would maintain a little bit of hope that if Belichick's here, maybe we can get some differentiating voices. I know with McDaniels here, we won't get that. And Danny, Adam Jones of WEEI in Boston said basically the same thing. Danny, let me hear Adam Jones number 3.
What it represents if you bring back Josh McDaniels, and I'm not surprised he failed. I'm surprised he didn't last as long as he did in Denver. 28 games in Denver. That was considered just a burning tire fire. And he got fired more quickly in Vegas, 25 games. So I'm surprised at that. But no, I don't want him back because of what it represents. If Josh McDaniels is back, well, then Bill Belichick's probably still the head coach. And they're going to try to fix things with Mac Jones next year. And you'll be right back where you were. Hell no. Do I want Josh McDaniels back here in New England?
I disagree. I agree with 75% of that. I disagree a little bit. You could run it back with Mac Jones if you had some different voices. And again, this is all very complicated because I don't think Bill O'Brien has done a terrible job. So I don't think you should just be able to fire Bill O'Brien outright either. So I'm kind of okay if Mac is back next year, at least as the starter. I still want to draft somebody, but if Mac is back as the starter and O'Brien's back as the offensive coordinator, I can be okay with that. But if you're asking me what my perfect scenario is there's just something different. And Josh McDaniels represents more of the same, right? I want somewhere some up-and-comer, the next Kyle Shanahan, the next Sean McVay, and maybe that's a quarterback coach, or maybe that's a court. I don't know, but somebody in the organization needs to be different, fresh, and new, and Josh McDaniels isn't that. Josh McDaniels is recycled in the same. It doesn't mean that Josh McDaniels is bad. He's worked with Brady. He's worked with Garoppolo. He's worked with Brissett. He's worked with Mac, and he's gotten the best they've ever played out of all of them in a coordinator's role. So I'm not saying I hate Josh McDaniels in New England, but just bringing him back, like Jones says, represents a reality that, here we go again. Well, here we go again hasn't worked for the last couple of years. I would like to see something fresh and new in 2023. If you're bringing back Belichick and you're bringing back O'Brien, then that's something fresh and new. Might be an advisor, might be a quarterback's coach, might be a running backs coach. I don't know, but it's got to be something. And if McDaniels is there, you're in the way of that. So, no, I don't want Josh McDaniels back. Text says, I hope that McDaniels does not come back. Text says, I wonder if Mark Davis wants Belichick in Vegas if Kraft decides to part ways. If the Patriots fire Bill Belichick, there will absolutely be suitors. There will absolutely be suitors. No doubt in my mind, right? There's always between 3 and 7 jobs open every NFL offseason. If Bill Belichick got fired, Bill Belichick would get a call on every job. Doesn't mean he'd ultimately win every job, but he would get called for every single job opening in the offseason if the Patriots fire him. Right? I'm thinking of jobs. Vegas is open. We could see the Bears open. Washington could be open. There was a report, Danny, that came out today. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk said that the Commanders want to trade for Bill Belichick. Now, they have Ron Rivera currently, but if they want to move on from him, then they want to trade for Belichick, then there's an option, right? They would want him. I can't think of other coaches specifically that might be on the hot seat at this point. I've heard about Frank Reich in Carolina. Could be one and done potentially. Just look at other bad teams. Brian Dable potentially with the Giants. We know Belichick's history with the Giants and his affinity there. Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland potentially. Could Belichick go back there? There are going to be options for him. there's going to be options for him. Mike McCarthy in Dallas, if he gets fired, Belichick's going to get a call on all these jobs. Now, Washington wanted to trade for him. That's interesting. I have said that I would trade him. Washington, what are they willing to give up? A first-round pick for Belichick? Second-round pick? Third-round pick? I don't know. But you could trade him. You could trade him out of the conference. That would certainly be a win, right? He's not going to play you every year and beat you. They're playing Washington this year in the schedule, so they're not going to play them next year. So you may never even have to see Belichick again by the time his career is over. That would be logical, at least from the Patriots' perspective. But back to the texter about Vegas, yeah, they're going to want Belichick if he's available. Heck, they might try to trade for Belichick. Belichick will be desirable to everybody but the Patriots. And the difference is that we think the biggest issue with Belichick in New England is his general manager skills, right? I don't think Belichick will accept a demotion with the Patriots. But if somebody wants to hire him to just be the head coach somewhere else, I think he would do it. I think he could cede power and control in another organization. I don't think he could cede it in New England. Tech says, this is Joe over in Richmond. In no way do I want McDaniels back. Bill has given us the dynasty of the last 20 years, and I'm grateful for that, being a lifelong Pats fan. But like you said, it's time for a new, fresh face, new everything. And if they were to do that, I'd be okay to keeping Mac and having new voices for him to listen to. It's all fair. So if Belichick is out, then I want everybody out, right? If Belichick is out, I want everybody out. I want O'Brien out. I want Belichick out. I want his kids out. I want a total fresh start, right? Maybe Gerard Mayo could stay. But if I want everybody out if Belichick's out. If Belichick stays, I accept that everybody's going to stay for the most part. But just give me something that's different. And Josh McDaniels would not represent that. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM at WDEVradio.com. World Series Game 5 is coming up tonight. Buster Olney, our ESPN MLB insider, is live on site. He is there in Phoenix right now, and he's taking time for us. We're going to talk a little bit about the World Series, a lot, though, about the state of the Boston Red Sox. Craig Breslow getting introduced tomorrow as the new chief baseball officer. Buster, live from Phoenix, with us next on DEV.
Where's your pain? In your knees, hips, your back? Don't let it sideline you any longer, and don't let them tell you surgery's your only option. Call QC Kinetics now for the future of pain relief. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, restoring and repairing damaged joint tissue the natural way. This is the science of using properties from your own body to bring you lasting relief with no drugs and no downtime. QC Kinetics is trusted by patients all over America, more than 150 clinics nationwide.
Got a text from Steve.
That can get
He
you
says,
moving again.
have you heard that Twin City ad? Sounds like you're on Fast Forward.
Are getting amazing reviews from people with arthritic pain or pain from an injury. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. Let their medical professionals give you a better path toward that pain-free life. Call 802-PAINLESS. That's 802-PAINLESS for QC Kinetics, 802-PAINLESS.
Treatments are not yet FDA approved.
Marvin windows are designed for unprecedented performance and exceptional aesthetics. Marvin's expansive window portfolio has every style you can imagine, all of them crafted with the highest quality material and the ability to mix and match across product lines that allows you to achieve the right form and function for your residential, commercial, and replacement needs. See our Marvin specialists at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber in Middlesex, St. Albans, Enosburg, Swanton, and Derby, or online at sticksandstuff.com.
Making a dollar stretch is getting harder and harder, but at Gillespie Fuels and Propane, they have programs to help you budget for your heating fuel needs. The budget plan estimates total annual heating costs and divides the payments over 12 months. Pre-buy allows you to buy your season's heating fuel up front at a fixed rate. And Price Cap keeps you protected from prices rising above your cap, but you pay the lower rate when the daily cash rate is below your cap. Contact your local Gillespie's office in Northfield, Randolph, and Waitsfield to find out more, or check them out online at GillespieFuels.com.
Hi, folks. Steve Cormier, General Manager of the Radio Vermont Group. I'm sure by now you heard us talk about our exclusive Radio Vermont trip to Antarctica with meteorologist Roger Hill. Well, I got big news for you. We just secured more cabins at a better price. New Radio Vermont pricing starts at under $9,000 per person, double occupancy, and $11,000 per person for a single cabin. That's a nice price drop. And don't worry, if you're already booked, we're passing on the new discounted prices to you. And if you've collected air miles, you can use those to get a better deal.
You fly into and out of Burlington, which is another plus. This fabulous trip starts on January 25th when you fly to Buenos Aires and back to Buenos Aires after a splendid once-in-a-lifetime 9-day cruise through some of the most spectacular scenery on Earth.
Details at WDEVradio.com. We've made our trip to Antarctica more affordable, so now you can go. For more details and information, or to book your space, call Milne Travel at 800-78-MILN.
The NASCAR Cup Series. The green flag in the air, and we are racing. 2023 comes to an end at Phoenix Raceway.
Go into the fence now, it's Denny Hamlin. Hamlin hits the wall.
Who will forever cement their name among Cup Series champions?
He needed to win, and he's done it as he comes across the line.
It's the NASCAR Cup Series Championship.
Sunday afternoon, 2 o'clock on your racing station, WDEV. Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Joining us live on the phone line now is Buster Olney, our ESPN MLB insider, live in Phoenix, getting ready for Game 5 of the World Series, a game we're going to have for you in a half an hour. So 7 o'clock pregame show, 8:03 first pitch. Rangers looking for their first ever World Series title. Buster, how are you?
Good. And, preparing and getting ready for the possibility that the Rangers wrap it tonight and also curious to see if the Diamondbacks can pick themselves up after that Game 4 debacle and their decision to pitch to Corey Seager, which is kind of mind-blowing.
We've been conditioned, I think, to think that in the NBA, one great draft pick can sway a franchise quickly. In the NFL, it's designed to kind of go from worst to first. We've been conditioned to think that baseball is a long, drawn-out process when you rebuild. As I think about the Red Sox, with what the Diamondbacks and Rangers have done, going from 100 losses to the World Series in just 2 years, should I be expecting a lot more, a lot quicker from the Red Sox now moving forward?
Yes, I think you should, because they're a big market team and they have resources. And the Rangers started to act like a team with resources. Now, the reason why for the Rangers is their owner, Ray Davis, from what you hear. He's in his 80s now, and he made it clear that he's going to try to win a championship. And so he empowered Chris Young, their general manager, to go out and spend a lot of money to get the best. And they go out and they sign Corey Seager for $325 million. And they signed Marcus Semien for $175 million. They signed Jacob deGrom for $185 million. By the way, I saw those three guys in a 4-person game of spades the other day in the Rangers clubhouse. Think about that. And they go and get Bruce Bochy, who's a Hall of Fame manager, and they turn it around. The Diamondbacks took a different path. They don't spend as much money, but 100%. The Red Sox are in a position where they can have the best of both worlds. They can both spend money, and at the same time, they have the resources to build up their farm system. They've done it in the past, and so as a Red Sox fan, you should expect that they should be able to perform better than they have in recent years.
We were talking about this a little while ago with Tom Caron of NESN. Craig Breslow is going to get introduced tomorrow as the Red Sox chief baseball officer. I know you're covering the World Series. I know this story is kind of secondary to you. Just curious, what do you want to hear from Breslow? What could he say that would make you feel good?
To talk about inclusion and talk about drawing people together and having a broad pool of thought and listening to the opinions of a wide swath of people. Because just in talking with, Red Sox people in recent years, that seems to have been missing. I had a conversation today with a longtime general manager who's now retired. And he mentioned to me that he really feels like the difference between the new generation of general managers and the older generation of general managers is that there was more conversation. There was more listening, like there was hanging out. There was, in that there got to be a better sense of community. within these organizations. And I think that, the best leadership groups in baseball these days are those that have a lot of inclusion, as opposed to, well, thanks for your input, the door gets slammed and you don't hear anything more about your idea, which is how I think a lot of employees are feeling these days.
We'll have coverage of the press conference tomorrow on the Brady Farkas show. That's about 11 a.m. tomorrow over at Fenway. So we'll have a reaction to that tomorrow. We're talking with Buster Olney of ESPN right now here on the Brady Farkas show. I was kicking this around a little bit with TC earlier too. Alex Verdugo, I think, is going to get traded. And there were a bunch of teams kind of listed as possibilities for Verdugo. What do you think is the fair asking price for a guy like Verdugo, right? He's going into the final year of his contract. Are we looking for a 1-for-1, final year contract hitter for a final year contract pitcher? Are we looking for a couple of minor leaguers that are at the upper levels and not too far away? What's the fair asking price?
Well, and it's interesting because I've seen and you've seen some trade speculation of what they might get, and I think it's wildly overstated what the perceived value of him is in the sport. Look, he's not that far more value than a non-tender. You see teams, players get to their 4th and 5th year of service time now, and as their salary grows for arbitration, the teams will at times non-tender a player. I don't think Alex Verdugo has much more value than that. He's got some value. And so, you hope for a useful young prospect, and that's what I would go for, like an 17, 18, 19-year-old in somebody's farm system that you feel like has a high ceiling and a chance to be really good. Or, as you're saying, you essentially go for a parallel move, useful veteran who's also, a year or two away from free agency, who plugs a specific hole. And I don't have anyone in mind as I say that, but the idea that you're going to get, a guy who's like, 1 year into his big league, experience, and he's got some promise for Alex Verdugo, that ain't going to happen because Alex doesn't have that kind of value.
Buster, here, I'll give you a name and I'll come at it from a selfish perspective. What do you think about Marco Gonzalez of the Mariners? 32.
There you go.
32 years old. He's got 1 year left guaranteed, a club option for the next year if he wanted. He's slated to make $12 million. He's coming off injury. Mariners have excess pitching. Red Sox need pitching. What do you think about that mix?
Well, and obviously the injury history is the wild card in that one. But that you're naming the type of player exactly that I would have in mind. And as I say, if I were a team of resources like the Red Sox, I don't have any problem getting veteran free agents, which is why I wouldn't necessarily target a Marco Gonzalez. I do potentially have issues, getting as many 17, 18, 19-year-old prospects as possible. That's why I would focus on that group. If you can get that, that flyer, not the slam dunk prospect, but the guy who's showing promise, with power or speed, or someone who throws hard.
You're down there at the World Series right now. The general manager meetings are next week, so we're going to quickly transition into a ramped up offseason. Are you hearing anything just kind of scuttle about Yamamoto, the Japanese pitcher, who I think everybody's going to want and the Red Sox should be interested in?
Yeah, that he's going to get $200 million.
Wow.
That he's going to be the most coveted, if you take Ohtani out of the mix, he's going to be the most coveted player in this free agent period because of his age. It's with major league players, typically they're getting to free agency like Blake Snell, in their late 20s. You're talking about in Yamamoto, he's in the same trajectory as Masahiro Tanaka with the Yankees, where he's reaching free agency in his mid-20s, and that's why there's going to be some hope that he could be productive for the next few years at the very least. And that's why all the big boys, all the big market teams are going to be involved in that one. That to me, if Craig Breslow were to land that marlin, that big fish in his first run through, that would be impressive. But we'll see. We'll see if that's the possibility.
How does the Ohtani market dictate the rest of the market, right? We know the Mets are going to be in on Ohtani. We know the Dodgers are going to be in on Ohtani. The Angels will probably be in on Ohtani again. A lot of the big market teams might be holding their resources for Ohtani. If he doesn't want to sign until February 1st, does the entire free agent market then be really, really slow to develop, or do teams do their own thing and then figure out Ohtani later?
So I think I've mentioned to you before that, a general manager said to me during the course of the regular season that anybody who pretends to know what Ohtani wants is full of crap, basically. Yeah. But there is a perception because, this is someone who wrote down goals, for his career when he was 16 or 17 years old, and they've been spot on what he wanted to do, what he wanted to accomplish. I've talked to friends of his who believe that he, A, knows where he wants to go, and B, he's going to want it quickly, resolution quickly, where it's like, okay, I want to go play in, I want to go play in Barrie, Vermont, and this is how much money I want to make. That's kind of where they feel he is on this thing. And if that's the case, I think it's going to make it a lot easier for teams to make those decisions. But here's the thing. Besides the Dodgers, who I do think will do things in sequence, I think a lot of the other teams are not going to sit back and wait. I think the Dodgers are going to sit back and wait a little bit on Ohtani because he would take up such a big part of their payroll. He would dictate other decisions. With some of the other teams, I think they would look at Ohtani as a wild card going through the betting.
Buster Olney, our ESPN MLB insider. Buster, are you going to be at are we going to be talking to you from GM meetings next week, or when the season ends, do you get a little time to decompress?
I don't know. We actually haven't had that conversation yet. My guess is I'm going to be in Montana the next time you and I talk.
All right. Well, I will root for that for you, and we'll talk next week. And hard to believe next week will be done with baseball until the spring. We'll have some things to recap. We'll look forward to it, Buster. Thank you as always.
All right, Brady. Thank you.
Absolutely. Just minutes away from Buster being on radio coverage of Game 5 of the World Series. He always makes time for us. A lot of good stuff there. Okay. Yamamoto, this Japanese pitcher, is supposed to be phenomenal, right? Mid-20s, 100 miles an hour fastball. This guy, $200 million, Buster says he's going to get. Look, the Yankees need pitching. They're certainly beat up in that department. The Red Sox need pitching. Dodgers will always need pitching. Mets need pitching. Everybody needs pitching. Cubs. So I think all the big boys are going to be in on him. We will see. Again, he is supposed to be phenomenal. The Verdugo stuff with the Red Sox is very, very interesting. I think the Mariners are a good match for the Red Sox. I do. And I know I'm looking at this from a selfish, Mariners-centric, I know the team well point of view. But they just are a good match, right? The Mariners need offense. They need offense in the worst way. And they play at a ballpark where it's very difficult to hit. So developing their own offense has been difficult. So they need offense on the outside. Teoscar Hernandez is going to leave in free agency. So they're going to have to replace a guy who had 25 home runs and 90 RBIs this year. Verdugo is not going to give you that, but he can play the outfield. He can do it competently, do it well defensively, runs okay, hits for contact, hits a bunch of doubles. He can replace some of that offensive productivity. So they need him. They need offense. They need a corner outfielder specifically. And they have a pitching glut, right? I look at the Mariners now and I think, okay, they got Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, and George Kirby, three of the top arms in baseball. They've got young guys like Bryce Miller and Brian Wu who pitched this year. They've got Robbie Ray, who is coming back from Tommy John surgery around the All-Star break. And they've got Marco Gonzalez, a guy who was hurt again for a lot of this year. Okay, I think he was out for the year starting in June. So he didn't pitch the back, 2/3 of the year or so. I think he made 11 starts or something like that. Gonzalez is coming back. He's on the final guaranteed year of his contract. He does not throw hard, right? The one thing we know about Breslow is he likes hard throwers. Marco Gonzalez is not that. He's a guy who's going to throw 87 miles an hour. So that may be a hindrance here. But the Mariners have that piece of pitching to spare, and the Red Sox have that piece of outfield hitting to spare. They're both on their final years of their deals. They're going to make comparable money. I think Verdugo is probably going to make a little less than Gonzalez is, so it's good for the Mariners in that regard. Red Sox can afford to take on an extra $2 or $3 million. So we will see what happens. I think that certainly is a matchup, right? There are other teams that could use Verdugo. I saw the Astros linked to them the other day. I don't know who they would give up from a pitching perspective, but we'll see. Verdugo, I think, is going to move. I think Verdugo's going to move. I look at it and I say, well, they got Abreu out there, and they got Rafaela, and they got Durant, and they got Yoshida, and they got Refsnyder. They have a redundancy in the outfield. I don't think they're going to pay Verdugo $100+ million in a season or over his next contract, so it's wise to move on from him. We'll see what they do. See what Craig Breslow says tomorrow about everything. Breslow, 11 a.m. TC said with the press conference. Danny and I will work to cut up all of the audio from that press conference by the show tomorrow. So we will do all of that. We'll get you ready for UVM men's basketball. They're taking on St. Michael's College about 15 minutes from now over at Patrick Gym. What do we want to see? What do we want to learn out of this matchup? And again, I'm getting it again, Danny. It's happening again. What is it? I'll tell you. Frustratingly. Is that a word? Next.
When we need support, Vermonters know we can count on.
You'll hear in 4 minutes.
And when Vermont's community service providers need support, they count.
I will
Vermont
do a tease and do that line for you right after the show.
VCLF has specialized in lending to community facilities and nonprofit service providers, including rural health centers, assisted living facilities, early care and learning programs, arts and cultural organizations.
Be ready for the Deloney audio that's
historic
there.
general store or two. VCLF's flexible financing helps them do what they do best, guaranteeing access to essential quality of life services for all Vermonters. Vermont nonprofits and community facilities can count on.
Oh, the
Vermont
Cheever
Community
letters
Loan
is on right now.
so
I
you
hate that
can count
one.
on them. Isn't that what community is all about?
Yes, that's the one where
Find out
Susan's
what the nonprofit lending
sister or
specialists
Susan's
at the
father
Vermont
is gay
Community
and he was
Loan
having an
Fund
affair.
can do for your community.
Now the
at
opera.
investinvermont.org. That's investinvermont.org.
Good signs catch your eye and promote your business. Hi, this is Trish at Always On Time Signs. We design and produce custom signs for businesses big and small. Commercial signs, safety signs, banners, window, wall, and floor graphics, and much more. You'll be impressed by our customized designs and quick
I
service.
said to
And
Steve, I go,
you'll
talk
love
to
our
Danny.
competitive
He's the
prices.
production guy. He
See
goes,
how our
tomorrow when I
experienced
deliver his
designers can
chow.
create the sign you're looking for. Always On Time Signs in Berlin. Online at
Twin City app.
alwaysontimesigns.com.
Save on stuff you really need and stuff you bought for fun.
Hey, he's going to come and give you grief about it, and you're going to get a free dinner, so I take it. Just tell him that. Just tell him that. Say, hey. Yep. Bob Knight died.
Finding great candidates to hire
now.
can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The Norwich University Cadets opened up the regular season Saturday night with a convincing win over Endicott, one of the top-ranked teams in the country.
Cooper Bertrand, the first-year defenseman, drops it off the red line. Here's Kerner in on the attack, left wing side, dangles, backhands to O'Mara, who scores! That's a highlight reel goal that puts the Cadets up by 2.
Now the Cadets head out on the road with an even greater challenge, a Friday night showdown against the #1 ranked Hobart Statesmen. Listen right here for all the action. Season-long coverage of Cadets hockey on WDEV is brought to you by Bolduc Metal Recycling in Middlesex and at BolducMetalRecycling.com, and by Packard Fuels, online at PackardFuels.com. Frank Durham has the call. Norwich takes on Hobart Friday night, 6:35 on the Rock of Ages WDEV Norwich Hockey Network, presented by Northfield Savings Bank. The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Danny, Oswego State University has called me again today looking for money. They just called me at 6:43, right after we got off the phone with Buster, right before we were headed to commercial break. They've called me again. They want my money. Now, look, we're kind of caught in a circular thing here. I don't really want to answer the phone because I don't want to give them money right now. I love where I went to college. I have given money before. I just don't want to give money this time. So I don't really want to answer the phone. Because I keep not answering the phone, they keep calling me. And I'm also on the air when they call every time, so I can't answer the phone, so they keep calling me. So something is going to need to happen. I'm either going to need to have to play a taped interview someday between 6:30 and 7, wait for them to call, and just talk to them and say, look, I'm not giving money this time and be done with it. Or I'm going to have to answer, tell them to call the studio, and we will have it out on the air. They can give me the sales pitch on the air, ask me to donate money, and I can tell them no in front of hundreds of thousands of Vermonters. What do you think?
I like that way.
But see,
do they leave a voicemail every time too?
They don't leave voicemails because like I know how this goes. My roommate used to do this job, right? You worked in admissions. It was a work study program, right? You help make some money to help pay tuition, work study program. You go to the admissions office, you make calls between 6 and 9 to alumni looking for money, and the cycle repeats every day. And so somebody's probably going to do this exact same thing tomorrow because they're working the phones all hours between 6 and 9 every single night as part of this work study program. So I feel bad for some kid that's just doing his job, but I don't want to give any money right now. I have given my money in the past. I have given exposure to Oswego. I would like to make enough money one day to have the dugout at the baseball field named after me, the Brady Farkas dugout at Brady Farkas Field. I would like to give a lot of money in the future. I just don't need to give $20 now. Would you want something named after you at NVU Johnson /VTSU?
No, I was
whatever?
there for 2 years.
What would we call it? What would we name after you? The Danny McKivergan dorm room? The Danny McKivergan
I didn't go to a dorm room. I barely ate in the cafeteria, dining hall, whatever you want to call it.
You commuted from Essex to Johnson
I commuted from
every
Essex.
day?
Yeah, I did.
How long was that trip?
It wasn't every day. It was a couple times a week. Only class times were,
How long was that trip?
30, 45 minutes.
What did you do between classes? You didn't have all your classes stacked back to back to back. Just go to
for the most part, it worked out pretty well, actually, the scheduling. There was a couple times I had a, hour and a half in between, but, you go to the library and you do your work for your other class. I don't know.
Oh, I'm not knocking the commuting experience, right? So no one get mad at me. But Danny, did you ever go visit someone at a college, like a friend, and stay in a dorm? Did you ever get the dorm experience at all?
Not really, no. I know, it's disappointing.
Man, it was a blast. Now look,
before that it was CCV, so there's no dorms there.
You got the degree, you saved money, you got to be at home. I will never knock that. But I wish you had gotten to experience, even for a weekend, the dorm life experience. It was a wild scene, man. It was so much fun.
Missed out.
Living in a dorm was great. And
for how long though?
See, that's the thing, right? Like I loved it all 4 years. I absolutely loved it. Now, some people hate it, but I'm a very outgoing social person. So living in a communal space was very fun to me. And I also can't cook. So having my own apartment and having to buy and make my own food did not appeal to me, right? Living in a spot with 1 or 5, depending on if I had a suite for 2 years, right? Living with 1 or 5 guys was a blast, right? We're playing video games. We're staying up till 2 a.m. We're having beers. We're watching sports. We're talking. We're shooting the blank. We're hanging out. You always have somebody to hang out with. That was great, right? We're going down the hall freshman year playing ping pong, until midnight. It was a blast. It was great. And then you're walking downstairs and getting food, and you got late night dining, and I always got somebody to go with. So that's cool to me, right? The people who know how to cook, the people who don't like people, frankly, they wanted their own house, right? They wanted their own house. They wanted a much smaller living setting. They didn't want neighbors. They just wanted their 3 or 4 friends, and that's it. I was cool. I loved it, right? Like people next to me, like, hey, let's be friends with this dorm. Let's be friends with that dorm. Let's meet the people across the hall. Like, I'm down with it.
Did you not have like a baseball house or anything like that?
We had a baseball house. I didn't go. See, I liked my dorm so much. I didn't go to the off-campus parties and stuff, really. I went to the baseball house. I hung out a bunch there, but like,
you didn't live there.
I did not. Well, I did not live there for sure. And then like when guys would like go and drink there and stuff, I didn't even do that really. I kind of hung with my dorm crew. Like even though I was tight with the baseball guys, I kind of hung with my dorm crew, like my dorm mates, and then
dorm loyalist.
Yeah, like our friends that lived on. We were on the 7th floor. We had buddies on the 10th floor, buddies on the 3rd floor. The girls across the hall. Like so, we were always hanging out with all them. And yeah, I didn't need to go out all the time. So I was perfectly content hanging out. So UVM men's basketball taking on St. Mike's today. That game is going on in about 5 minutes from now over at Patrick Gym. The America East Championship rings are being given out to John Becker's team. So congratulations to the guys that were on the squad last year that won another America East title. What are we looking for today? Well, look, I'm looking for a win. You have to win this game. You cannot lose to a Division II team. You can't lose to a Division II team in your own state, right? We talked with Aaron Deloney about this yesterday. There is pressure to win this game and win it big. Now, he said it doesn't really bother him, but he acknowledges that it's there. I've seen Louisville lost this week to a Division II team. I saw Syracuse lose to Lemoyne a handful of years ago. They almost lost to St. Rose a handful of years ago, too. So can't lose this game, right? It's not good for anybody at UVM if this game gets lost. So you got to win this game. You got to win it by at least 20 to 25 plus, I would say. Other than that, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the new guys that I'm excited about. I'm just looking for their development. TJ Long, 17 points the other day in the scrimmage against Catholic out of Fairfield to transfer. Want to see him. Lefty, pretty good shooter. See what he can do, right? Can he back up a good performance with a good performance? Can he be consistent? Jackson Skipper, redshirt freshman. I do not know where he's going to fall into the rotation. I do not know how much he's going to play, but I want to see him and kind of just see his athleticism. Now, I can't see it because I have to listen to this game. I can't watch it, but I just want to feel what his impact is. And then Iliri Iofali, a guy we've talked a lot about his development. I just want to see how he continues to mature, continues to develop, because the sky is the limit for him. So see what happens. We'll talk about it tomorrow. I'm going to listen to the game, see what we can learn about it, read the box score, read the story, take notes on it, and we'll talk about it tomorrow as well. Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio is going to be with us tomorrow. We kind of switched things with him and Buster, so we'll talk to Freddie tomorrow at 5:45. Go download the full show podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. Game 5 of the World Series is coming up next here on Vermont's news station with a soft spot for sports as well, WDEV AM and FM.
Is it time to weatherize your drafty house? Do you always feel cold at home in the winter? Are you tired of knowing your hard-earned money is going out the window?
I can't believe you never went to visit
attend
somebody,
the Button-Up Weatherization and Home Heating Workshop on Friday.
Yeah, but you have buddies from
6
high
to
school that went to
7:30
college.
at the Waterbury Municipal Building in Waterbury. This
You
free
just didn't
event
do it.
is hosted by Waterbury Leap and Efficiency Vermont. You'll learn about how homes lose energy, how to tighten up your house, energy audits.
That's all right. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it would have been fun.
And rebates available to those affected by recent flooding.
Yeah,
Waterbury
well,
Leap
you were
will provide
responsible.
free
I
pizza, drinks, and
I hung out and
energy-efficient
drank.
raffle prizes. For more information, contact Duncan at
all right, stay on the line. I will record this thing and let you know what it's done.
2968. Don't stay
All right,
cold
1 sec.
this winter. Learn how to warm your house and save money at the free Weatherization and Home Heating Workshop on Friday, November 10th from 6 to 7:30 in the Waterbury Municipal Building.